Do y'all remember the Motorola Razr? Not the new ones. I am talking 2 decades ago when we were still paying per text message. Yes, that was a thing. I remember those phones too. Well, a big goal of mine this year was showing you all the Android competition that we have out here, and this is actually the first time I am sharing Motorola's smartphones on my channel. So Motorola did send this sample review unit out my way for testing, so huge thanks to Motorola for providing the device. This is the Motorola Razr 2025. Funny enough, when I took this thing out around my friends, they would be like, Motorola is still making phones? And then I would show them the features and they were like, wow, this is a really good phone. Yes, Motorola is still around and they are making some pretty sweet devices. This one is a super compact, flippy phone with gorgeous screens, Moto AI, and to be honest, very few caveats. So if you have been looking for a flip phone but you don't want to spend a grand plus some, watch this video so you know what to expect. What's up, s'mores? I'm Shannon Morse. Welcome to my YouTube channel where I dive into tech that is secure, stylish, and smart. I like that intro, isn't that cute? And this is going to sound super random, but hi Tenley, I love you and I will see you soon. So this is the Motorola Razr 2025. It is $699.99 MSRP. It comes in 4 different colors, including Gibraltar Sea, Parfait Pink, Spring Bud, and this one, which is called Lightest Sky. All of those options include 256 gigs of storage and 8 gigs of RAM. Now in the box, you get the phone, a USB-C cable, the SIM tool, and some guides. No charger brick, but it does support 30-watt turbo power charging and 15 watts wireless Qi charging. Now Motorola is very iconic for flip phones. Like, my generation knows that hand gesture, but the brand took that old school nostalgia and gives us this titanium reinforced hinge for durability, Gorilla Glass Victus, and IP48 dust and water resistance. Now, I would still recommend caution though, because phones with flexible screens do tend to be a little bit more sensitive to potential damage. By the way, if you are finding my video helpful about this phone and you want to see more reviews like this, a subscribe would mean so much to me, and subscribing is a really simple way of showing me which videos you find helpful and valuable, and it tells me which direction I should be taking my channel in. Also, a big Patreon shout out to Okidoki27. You can join them and support my channel by going over to patreon.com/ShannonMorse for perks like early video access and my private Discord. Now, as usual, all the videos on this Morse code channel are free to watch, and I thank my YouTube members and my patrons for making that possible. Now, this thing is very lightweight. It weighs in at 188 grams. It's about 7.25 millimeters thin whenever it's open and 15.85 millimeters thin when it's closed. So very, very thin phone. The design finishes will vary depending on the color that you buy, with mine being this acetate finish, which gives it this really shiny, unique reflection that kind of reminds me of crystals. It's really pretty. Your SIM slot will be found on the left, USB-C is on the bottom, and of course you have your power and volume buttons over here on the right. Now the hinge is fully covered whenever you open it, and it does snap into place when you open it, while giving you that satisfying little closure noise when you close it. Ooh, I love that noise. The displays are really cool. We've got this 3.6-inch Ultra HDR POLED external display. It's 413 pixels per inch. It's got an adaptive refresh rate up to 90 Hertz and a peak brightness of 1700 nits, along with the 6.9-inch Full HD Plus Foldable AMOLED display. This is 120 Hertz adaptive refresh rate. It's also got that 22:9 aspect ratio, and it's 413 pixels per inch as well, and 3000 nits peak brightness for the main display. Now, both of these displays did really well in daylight settings. I took this phone to a Dodgers versus Rockies game. I didn't have any problem seeing these screens in the daylight or when the sun was setting. Flipping it open is really fun, and there's almost no crease to be seen. It's pretty much very smooth for a foldy. Like, it's hard to see that crease unless you like glint it in the reflection of a light. Otherwise, like, you can almost not feel it. It's a pretty nice flat display for a folding device. Yeah, you can still kind of see it right there, but that's about it. I'm pretty impressed. But the outer display has this one killer feature that really makes me love this phone. You can actually run full apps on it. Anything from like Maps to Gmail, social media, YouTube, music apps, whatever you want. For some apps, that's gonna be a pretty small screen to navigate though, obviously, but it works great whenever you put it into a tent mode and you use it for some video podcasts or music controls, or you're doing some really quick calculator tasks, like you need to add some stuff up or do a few functionalities with the calculator app. I've done that a few times. Not to mention some of the things that you can do with the camera lenses too, and I'll talk more on that in a little bit. So it's really nice. It's very featureful. Speaking of which, the Motorola Razr 2025 has some pretty good cameras. On the back, or on this cover display, you have a 50 megapixel sensor with OIS and 12.6 megapixel quad pixel tech. Quick question, do you want me to do a short explanation of pixel binning? Let me know in the comments. I can make an educational video about that if it's of interest on this channel. This lens also has an f1.7 aperture as well. That's quite impressive. Motorola also pointed out that this is the first flip phone in the world to have a Pantone-validated camera and display. So that means that both your colors and what you see represented on the display are going to be more accurate to what Pantone intended. So reds are truly reds, skin tones will be more accurate, etc. If you saw my recent video of the newest Pixel 8a, this is kind of a tangent, but the camera captured some colors very weirdly on that phone. So accuracy as a content creator is really important to me, so I wanted to make sure I pointed that out. Now that 50 megapixel camera is also paired with a 13 megapixel f2.2 ultra wide at 120 degrees field of view, and it also has this macro vision feature for macro photos. And then last off, we have this 32 megapixel selfie camera on the foldable screen, f2.4 with an 8 megapixel quad pixel technology, that pixel binning. So you can see from my photos that using those rear lenses makes for some pretty clear, bold photos in good light settings with a little bit more red saturation. Macros are detailed and colorful with a good natural bokeh that kind of trails off from the focus subject to a nice blurred background. It looks really good. The ultra wide gave me a bit of glare from bright lights, but I really like that nice HDR look, especially with these photos at Coors Field when a storm was rolling in. It looked really good. And there is some loss of detail around my subjects, like the background bricks in some of these photos or the audience in the background. Not a lot of detail there. Zoom quality also is pretty grainy. There's not a zoom telephoto lens in here, so that's probably why, and not super detailed. I think 2x is as far as I would actually go with this lens whenever I'm zooming in. 4x up to 10x, which is the highest zoom option, is pretty grainy. Now you can also record up to 4K 30, so here are a few of my tests, and I would love to know what you think of these down below.
We got 16 seconds on the clock.
There's so many.
In 3, 2, 1.
Seven phones that she's testing. That's cool.
I have so many phones I'm testing today. Hello. I'm using it in camcorder mode, like we're living in the 90s. Isn't that cool?
That is kind of cool. The person can see who's recording you.
Yeah. So neat. 1x, 2.
I'm looking forward to that.
I got it. Where's Otani right now? Oh, purple.
He's on first base.
That's got Dinger.
There he is. There's our dude.
Oh, I've seen that.
You see that?
Yes, I've seen that.
I also took a few selfies using the front-facing lens, and you can see some options here as well. So the AI camera features do a ton too, including that auto night vision, a photo booth mode, which is super cute, auto smile capture and gesture for hands-free, and a camcorder mode, which all of my friends loved because all of us are from the same generation. You can turn your phone into like a miniature handy cam, and everybody loved it because it reminded us of like growing up in the 1990s. So cute. cute. Love the nostalgia. Moto AI also adds adaptive stabilization to videos, and it can dynamically adjust based on how fast you are moving. And my videos were pretty steady. You have got Dolby Atmos tuned dual stereo speakers, and the sound is very rich for a nice compact phone. It's great for when I was listening to my cousin's band Night Spins or a vlog from the Colorado Renaissance Fair. By the way, this is Celtic weekend, so I will be wearing my Fraser tartan dress. But in terms of audio, not a lot of bass. So it sounds good for like podcasts and stuff, but not a lot of bass. Now running Android 15, it is clean, mostly bloat-free. Moto's own skin is minimal, but it's really smart. You can do really fun stuff with it, like a desk display mode where your Razr becomes a mini digital clock or a photo carousel. It's perfect for a desk setup or a cute nightstand look. You can also customize the home screen with Android 15 features like normal, widgets, personalized colors, themes, and more like that. Under the hood, we've got that MediaTek Dimensity 7400X. It's paired with 8 gigs of LPDDR4X RAM and 256 gigs of UFS 2.2 storage. No micro SD card slot though, unfortunately. Now it's not marketed as a gaming phone, but I will say it's pretty good. I was able to test my tried and true Genshin Impact to make sure it didn't overheat or lag. The game recommends, when you install it and start playing it on this phone, it recommends the lowest settings on this phone for graphics, but I'm slightly chaotic, so I was like, I would just bump it up to high settings, and overall it did really well. No overheating. Graphics looked great. I only noticed one moment when I was playing this game for like an hour straight, where there was a little bit of a stutter while playing during my test, but it handled multitasking and AI tasks like a champ. So I think the MediaTek Dimensity 7400X is really shining through here. Even stress testing with 3D Mark, and I still couldn't get this thing to feel hot. So it's got some good performance packed in. And with Moto AI enhancements like Catch Me Up and Pay Attention, cute little features, you can get this digest of missed notifications or highlight key messages with just a simple tap. The battery life was solid. It's a 4,500 milliampere hour battery. It easily got me through a full day and a half. That is with mixed usage. So I had some camera testing, I had some gaming, lots of outer and inner screen YouTube video watching in the background while I was actually working. It's about 14 hours of screen on time is what I was seeing, and 20 hours total before the battery completely drained. That 4,500 capacity I think is giving it a nice boost here. And yes, the 30-watt turbo power did indeed get me to about 50% in under 30 minutes. Wireless charging is slower at 15 watts, but at least it's faster than some phones out there. In terms of security, we've got a fingerprint sensor, which is mounted into the power button over on the side right here. It is fast and reliable. I have had no issues with it. Face unlock is also on here. It's also fast, but it's not going to be as secure. Moto AI requires you to be signed into a Motorola account to really use all of those features. It's not necessarily my main selling point personally. I don't use AI for most of my work, but there are some fun features built in. Since it also uses Perplexity, you can open Perplexity for AI generated searches. You can create an AI avatar. I made one here. It looks kind of funny. Let it create a playlist of music for you. That does require an Amazon Music account. You can also take notes and a lot more. Connectivity was as expected. We've got 5G, Wi-Fi 7, which is really fast, Bluetooth and eSIM and nano SIM support. Random note as well, Genshin Impact is like 32 gigs or something ridiculous, and the Razr Ultra downloaded the game way faster than the regular Razr. So who is this phone for? Well, I think it's fun. It's really fun to use. The customizations and little details are really lovely. It's a great device for $700. It's quite functional for gaming and for social media, and it has that really good battery life to boot and fast charging. I would not choose it if you are more of a power user or you want top tier gaming, or if you want top of the line cameras. Candy bar phones still beat foldables in that department. We are looking at over $1,000 for those kind of premium specs, no matter what form factor you choose. I am used to flip phones still being priced over $1,000 with limited specs, so $700 seems right for this device. The phone shows me that you can actually get a quality foldable foldable for less than $1,000, and it won't feel like you are making a ton of sacrifices. So let me know if you want me to review the Motorola Razr Plus, which would be Motorola's mid-range flip phone. Thank you so much for watching. Sorry the kitten wasn't in here today, but she'll be back for future videos. I know she will. She loves like hanging out on my shoulder while I'm talking to people and stuff, so I'm sure she'll be back. But thanks for watching. Comment below if you have any questions. I'll see you next time. Bye, y'all.